Hello, everybody. Welcome in to yet another edition of Unnecessary Wagers, the first one since the end of the regular season of college football, coming toward the end of the season, and it's yet another episode. Nick, how you doing? I think you got something to tell everybody.
Yep. So, what am I saying? Unnecessary Wagers is powered by Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market, available right now in 35 states, including California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and New York. On Novig, you're 10 times more likely to win long-term compared to a traditional sports book because you're playing against real users, not the house. Sign up today and use promo code ETB Network for exclusive bonuses. All
right, sorry about that. All right, so it was another crazy week. I actually went undefeated in my college picks this week. How about those Longhorns?
Crazy.
We were on the opposite sides, as you know. For the locks, you were on Texas A&M. I was on Longhorns. Didn't only cover, didn't only win the game. Dominated.
Yeah, Texas is the one. Texas makes no sense as a team because they have I've never seen a team with so many amazing things on their resume and horrible things on their resume. They're very up and down. They have a lot of they have a loss against Florida. They lost 35-10 against Georgia. They needed overtime to beat Mississippi State and Kentucky, but they also have a win against Oklahoma, a blowout win, by the way, at a neutral site, and a win against A&M, and also a win against Vanderbilt. I mean, the truth is, if you think about it, Texas is some of the best wins in the country.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah. I listen, I saw that one coming a mile away. I mean, I think that listen, Texas A&M is a good team. They're going to make the playoffs. We know that, right? But you have to realize that they're playing the bottom. They played the bottom 8 of the SEC. So again, I'm not saying that they're not a good team or that they're not up to
except for Texas
going into that game.
Yeah. Going into that game, it was almost exactly actually the bottom. It was almost exactly the bottom. So they played the bottom 7 teams.
Yeah, 7 teams
in the SEC before playing Texas. I mean, it was quite literally the easiest schedule imaginable that they could have played.
Yeah. But again, that's not saying that they're not, worthy of the playoff or they're not worthy of their ranking. But I mean, their non-conference was very tough, obviously. Going to Notre Dame, you're obviously they won the game, so it's even more beneficial. But going to Notre Dame and you're going to win in Notre Dame, that's obviously a huge plus. I just right now think that they were in a position where, remember, that game was the second week of the season, right?
Yes.
So again, it had been a while, and which we've talked about on the program when we talk about the playoff rankings. Notre Dame is a different team than they were in week 2 of the NFL season.
Yeah.
So, or the NFL, the NCAA season.
Right. I know what you mean.
So it wasn't. They hadn't gone up against that competition in some time, and that's why I was heavy on. The Longhorns, because they had to go into Austin. I mean, Texas, I don't think is going to make the playoff, although they should. As you know, we'll get into it more. But certain teams that are going to make the playoff that probably shouldn't, because of the rules. But I just thought that Texas was going to be the more desperate team, and it turned out to be true. I mean, you could argue that 10-point spread was, not even as close as the game was at certain points.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, like I said, Texas is a team that really just doesn't make any sense, is how I would put it.
Yeah,
Like,
like, there was never a time in that bet with you having Texas A&M and me having Texas. Like there was never a point in the game where I was feeling nervous.
yeah, no, I
Not
totally get
even
it.
when Texas A&M made it a 3-point game because I just had that feeling that Texas was going to come down and score, and they did. And there's so much to be talked about in that sense, but Texas has just improved mightily. Over where they were, especially Arch, I think has improved mightily over where he was looking at the start of the season.
Yeah, and don't forget, like, even though they got blown out 35-10 by Georgia, I mean, that game was close for the first 3 quarters, and then they kind of fell apart at the end. I also think that Texas struggling was always a little bit of an illusion because they were never playing home games. Before Vanderbilt, they didn't play any home games in their conference. Um,
Right.
and what's been a common theme in the SEC? Oh, everybody is struggling on the road. Every team is struggling on the road, and Texas was only playing road games. And even if though it was against Kentucky and Mississippi State, the bottom of the conference, I mean, playing those teams on the road are a little harder than people say they are. So, like, I think that was a big part of it too. Their
Yeah, but
schedule was just tough.
and that's the crazy thing. Like, when do you when do you get rewarded for scheduling a tough schedule? I mean, I know that they don't schedule their SEC schedule, but going to the national champions on the first game of the season, I mean, there should be in my mind there should be maximum, as ridiculous as it sounds, there should be maximum uh, reward and minimum penalty.
No,
So there should be maximum reward
yeah.
if you win and minimum penalty if you lose.
Well, no, I totally agree. I agree 100%. Like, that's why, like, people talk about Texas having 3 losses, and it's like if you dwell on the fact that Texas has 3 losses, you're now effectively disincentivizing teams from scheduling tough non-conference opponents because now you're
Exactly.
saying that Texas should have instead scheduled Rice
Yeah.
instead of Ohio State week 1, like most other teams do, and
Right.
they'd be in a playoff spot. Now, I don't. I think you can make an argument that maybe Texas shouldn't be in regardless of that. Like maybe you can argue a 10-2 Texas team isn't good enough. If you want to make that argument, fine. But don't say because they lost a third game that should be disqualifying. I mean, look, the way I see it is that Texas is effectively a 2-loss team. That's how I see it. Like they're effectively a 2-loss team if you want to maximize the incentives to schedule tough non-conference opponents. Like that's how I see it. They're effectively a 2-loss team, and only one of their losses is bad. Only one of them.
All right. Um. Yeah. And yeah. So let's quick. I mean, I don't really. Let's. I just want to say really quick. I don't really think there's much recap. This was a outside of Thanksgiving. This was a terrible slate of NFL games. So I don't think we really need much recap there. I mean, the recap basically: the Eagles look terrible. The
Yeah.
Cowboys look decent, but the Chiefs also look terrible. The Ravens look terrible. And the Lions Packers was a good game. It was like the worst slate of Sunday, not
Yeah.
just not in terms of the game, but in terms of the quality of the games
Yeah.
that
Definitely.
you've had. And that's a consequence of adding a game on Black Friday, having Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, all that. You're going to have a bad Sunday slate when you have 3 Thursday games. But so that was just NFL. But if we just go back to college for a second, because I really just want to focus on college, uh, you know, we had Ohio State beat Michigan. I had Ohio State first half. That was close. So Ohio State is really good. They dominated Michigan. I do agree with Dave Portnoy's take that if the correct call was made on the Jeremiah Smith touchdown, that the game is a little bit different. That was an obvious touchback. He didn't have control. Would you
I
agree?
agree. I
Uh,
agree.
and I do think so. I think two things. So here was where the game was won. Michigan comes down the field and has a really good drive, and they end up with 3 points. That was big. This is where I think Ohio State won the game. Julian Sayin throws a pick on the next drive. They hold Michigan to a field goal. That's where Ohio State won the game. If Michigan scores a touchdown there and are up 2 scores, and the narrative is Ohio State cannot beat this team no matter what the records are, no matter what and what, they can't beat them. And Michigan all of a sudden goes up 2 scores with a pick on one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Ohio State starts to get a little tight there. And the fact that they held Michigan to 3 points there and were able to make that game close, or that keep that game where it was gigantic for Ohio State.
Yeah,
Going down 2 scores would have been massive.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And also, like, I agree. I think it was a touchback. I think Jeremiah Smith lost possession of the ball. However, Ohio State after that point was dominant anyway, so I don't think Ohio State loses that game. Maybe Ohio State doesn't cover the spread potentially, but
Yeah, but the situation of the game changes. If Ohio State is down for most of the for the whole first half, and at halftime, and is still got this monkey on their back of that they can't beat Michigan, then I think it's a different situation. I mean,
maybe.
And I'm not saying that won them the game. Ohio State is the best team in the country. Michigan are not a bad team. Bryce Underwood had a bad game, but he's playing against a very good team in the snow, mind you. It was snowing pretty hard for a good amount of the game. I just think that there was chances, and I don't think it was the ref. I think the Michigan not scoring a touchdown on either of those first 2 drives won the game for Ohio State. 14-0 Michigan is worlds difference than 6-0 Michigan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But
and remember, Ohio State has not been in that situation outside of Texas. They have not been. They were not in a dogfight. If Michigan were able to get a lead on them and get that crowd going and get it, that would have been a dogfight, and I think that would have been tougher for Ohio State. But here we are.
Yeah, and also, like, I still think, like I said, I still think they would have won anyway. I think Ohio State's a resilient team, and I think they're the best team in the country right now. So I think they probably would have won the game anyway. Maybe the spread is different. Like, it wouldn't be 27-9. Maybe it'll be the game would be a little closer. But you know what? Since last year, I think that the best thing to happen to Ohio State was lose to Michigan last year. Like, that was the best thing that happened to them. Since then, they've won 16 straight games. And I also just think that Ohio State now is in a different place than they were a year ago. Like, I think that last year, like, they folded under pressure. They folded against Michigan, a far worse Michigan team that they played in their own stadium. This year, I just think they're in a different position.
Yeah.
I think they're more resilient than they were last year.
Yeah. So, I'm going to piss off a lot of Big Ten fans here, but a lot of people think Ohio State Michigan is the best football rivalry in the country. I'm an Iron Bowl guy. I love the Iron Bowl. I think the Iron Bowl. Here's the thing: Michigan. I feel like Michigan Ohio State is very seldom a classic that you remember always. The Iron Bowl is always classic. It doesn't matter what the records are. Even in this game, Alabama was up 17-0, and then the game got tied at one point.
Yeah,
and Auburn were about to, and then Auburn tied the game, had Alabama. Alabama went for 4th down, which was, if they scored, it was unbelievably smart. If they missed and Auburn came down and kicked a field goal, they might have fired DeBoer in the locker room. It was a ballsy call. They scored a touchdown. Auburn then was about to score, and that would have been interesting because then they went for 2, and then they fumbled. Alabama survived. I don't care about all this garbage. The Iron Bowl is the best one. I mean, the Iron Bowl is always terrific. I love, like, to me, and I root for a team in the Big 12, so it's whatever. But I don't even care about which teams are better at a certain time. The SEC is the conference for college football. I don't care about the Big Ten. If you've ever watched a video of every SEC stadium, Rocky Top in Tennessee, Dixieland Delight in Alabama, a lot of it in LSU, they do a couple songs. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, like the thing is, I totally agree. Like, not only is the SEC the best conference in terms of, like, its actual, like, level of play, but it's also the most entertaining. It also might be the most entertaining in basketball too. A lot of years.
I was about to say it's the best conference in basketball right now,
and they're the best fans. They are the best fans.
It's not even close. It just means more. Listen, how many times would you ever see in any sport a coach leave for another team, and only in the SEC? This wouldn't happen in other schools, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
They're on the tarmac, the people, booing the fuck out of the guy.
Yeah.
What about when Schiano went to Tennessee? I mean, that stuff is only happens in the SEC.
Well, what happened was the a certain somebody basically torpedoed that hiring by directing people to call the AD at Tennessee.
Yeah, listen, it's yeah, and Tennessee made it public. They did not, sweep that stuff under the rug. So they were different than Schiano in that way. But the point is that the SEC is so much better. I mean, okay, Ohio State, Michigan, like the fans don't like each other, and the fans, are at each other saying, "Oh, they cross out the M's in Ohio." Someone put a Cam Newton jersey on a Bear Bryant statue, and in retaliation, an Alabama fan went to Auburn's campus and poisoned trees on the campus. This does not happen anywhere else. It is the best sport rival. Just like I think in terms of the fans, like when you say those are the best fans because they're so passionate, I think the same thing about what happened Friday, where people were like, "Oh my God, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year and they're 8-3. How could the fans boo them?" Because that's what makes Philadelphia some of the best passionate fans.
Yeah.
Because it's what have you done for me right now? And also, you don't know anything about much of the sport if you don't understand why the team is being booed in that situation.
Yeah. No. That's absolutely true. It's like also like won the Super Bowl last year. It's like we still have expectations for the year after, obviously.
Expectations, and they're not only losing, they're losing games where the offense is just completely inept. So
yeah, Philadelphia is that's a whole nother story. Like they're such a weird team. Like they're the type of I guess the Eagles have established themselves as a very streaky team, especially on offense. Like last year, it worked in their favor. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. But don't forget, 2 years ago, they completely collapsed.
Well, that Eagles team, like if you look at last season, they never really felt pressure. They never really felt pressure from the Commanders to win the division because they just weren't that good. They played the Rams in the snow. That was a tight game, but the Eagles led throughout the entire game. They then played the Commanders, who clearly had no business being on the same field in the NFC Championship game. And they then played the Chiefs, who just had a terrible game that game. The Eagles are a team where a pressure bursts pipes for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Dallas started to come on in that game, and the Eagles completely fell apart. The same thing happened 2 years ago, and now, frankly, they're in the same position they were 2 years ago, where it was like the Eagles have got the division wrapped up. Here come the Cowboys because the Eagles can't win easy games. Same situation now. Here come the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys will win the division because of the scheduling, but here they come. So let's get into our picks. We're going to start in college. Championship weekend. I'm just devastated that the college football season is pretty much getting close to over. I know we're getting into the playoff, but a playoff Saturday is great, but it'll never touch a regular season college football.
But you mean conference championship Saturday?
No, but I mean, I know we're getting into the playoffs, and a playoff Saturday is good.
The playoffs are great, but like I enjoyed the regular season more than the playoffs.
And also, like the one thing the first round of the playoffs is different, but like a neutral site college game also is like so different than playing at a campus.
Oh yeah, I feel. Yeah, because you don't get the same level of passion as you get on campus. And also, like a whole lot of the people, it's also way more expensive for people to go to those games. So you don't exactly get the same batch of fans as you would get on campus. Not that I'm against neutral site games, because I think bowl games should be neutral site games, obviously. But
yeah,
I do like the games on campus.
All right, let's get into it. I'm going to go with my 1-unit pick. I am starting on Friday night. I'm going with James Madison. Troy plus 23.5 against James Madison. James Madison have just lost their coach today. He is going to UCLA. It looks unlikely that James Madison will make the playoffs because of the American Championship game, but it is still a possibility, and there are a lot of people that do think JMU should be in the playoff. And if that were to happen, we would have two teams in the college football playoff that will be playing without their head coach, which is just mind-boggling that this has happened. This is a calendar problem, which I know we've talked about privately. This is more of a calendar problem.
It's not an NIL, but it's not a problem with the NIL or the transfer portal. It's really just the calendar.
It's a problem with when signing day is. It's a problem with when the portal is open. In terms of when the bowl games are. So the signing day and the portals open work well with the academic schedule. The problem is that the athletic schedule is much different, especially in football and in basketball as well. But especially in football, you don't see as much of that problem in basketball because the basketball transfer portal and stuff kind of lines up well with the academic calendar in terms of when a semester ends and stuff. So what's happening now is just terrible. I was actually surprised. I thought that Neuheisel was going to be the coach of UCLA. I was kind of surprised they went with JMU's guy. But I am taking Troy. I think that losing your head coach to another school is massive. I don't think that Troy has enough to win this game, but to cover 22.5, I don't think JMU is going to come out and blow them out after what's going on.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that pick. So my 1 unit pick, I am taking the Virginia Duke under 57.5. Ultimately, I don't think Duke is going to score enough. It's actually unbelievable to me that Duke is even up in the ACC championship game. I mean, imagine if you could bet on like the exact matchup in the ACC championship preseason, and you said Virginia Duke. I mean, the payout must be unbelievable.
It's stunning, and but I'm rooting that. I'll get to that game too, but I'm rooting the hell for Duke. If Duke get into the playoff, that would be so fucking funny.
It would be so funny. It would also be like the best case against automatic bids if Duke were to somehow get into the playoff.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second because we just talked about two games that I wanted to touch on with when it comes to Texas. Frankly, another team that you look at it should be in Vanderbilt. Yeah. Is probably not going to get in. Let's talk about this. You got Duke and Virginia. One of those teams will get in. Neither of those teams should get in. No. Virginia shouldn't get in either. Virginia won easy games, very close. They should have lost to North Carolina. They should have lost to Washington State. Their biggest win was Florida State, who finished season losing record, right?
I think that game said more about Florida State than it did about Virginia.
And by the way, that was one of your picks. Florida State got destroyed by Florida.
Yeah.
They didn't get beat. They got destroyed by Florida.
By Florida.
The point is, Virginia or Duke and James Madison, North Texas, or Tulane are taking up a playoff spot that they will not do anything with.
Well,
and that's the problem.
Not only that, not only like everybody, the committee knows that they're not good enough for a playoff spot. Proof of this is that they're ranking them in like the 20s. Why do we even have rankings if we're going to have automatic bids?
Right. So you don't have to. So if you're Texas or Miami or say it was Notre Dame or Vanderbilt, whatever, you don't have to get in the top 12. You have to get into the top 10.
Yeah, exactly. You have to get into exactly. And also it's like who's going to be the group of 5 team this year? Tulane. Oh, they just snuck Tulane at 24 last week. Yeah. Because they know that there's a good chance they're going to end up being.
What about North Texas is favored? North Texas lost to South Florida this year, 63-36.
Exactly. Imagine if how many Power 4 teams wouldn't be favored against North Texas? Honest question. I mean, there's some of them, but it's not the majority.
Lane also. Sorry.
No. I was going to say it's like. Imagine there are so many Power 4 teams that are completely out of it that would be favored against North Texas. Think about that. Like a team like Vanderbilt, totally out of it. They would without question be favored against North Texas. Yeah. Michigan, out of it. They'd be favored against North Texas. But Tulane are underdogs against North Texas, and there's a good chance they're going to get in. With the current format, a 2-loss group of 5 team has a better shot at making the playoffs than a 2-loss Big Ten team does.
Right. And you know, Tulane has 2 Power 5 wins, by the way, this year, both at home against Northwestern and Duke.
Yeah, exactly. It's not saying much.
I mean, if it was a, academic bowl, maybe, but other than that, all right, your 1-point pick.
Yeah, my 1-point pick is the Duke Virginia
Yeah, your
under.
1-point pick, but I'm saying your 1-point pick was Duke, and you agree that neither of those teams should be in.
Oh, I agree. No, my 1-point pick is not Duke. It's the Duke Virginia.
I know, but I'm saying the game. What
Oh,
I was
the
going to say
game.
was
Yeah,
the Duke Virginia game. You
absolutely.
think Duke can't score enough? Okay, my 2-point play. I am going with Jacksonville State plus 2.5 against Kennesaw State. Jacksonville State this year destroyed Kennesaw State in their building earlier in the year. Beat them pretty good. They ended up winning by, I think, 11, but they were up 25, a couple points in the game. So that line now is based on how Kennesaw State's played since that game. But I still like Jacksonville State here, getting points, a team that you've already beaten pretty decently. So give me Jacksonville State here, plus 2.5.
Yeah, that's it. How many people are gonna confuse Jacksonville State and Jackson State?
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so my 2-unit play, I am going with Texas Tech minus 12.5 against BYU. The line went down to 12.5. Perfect. Look, Texas Tech has just dominated their entire schedule. And I just think they're on a whole nother level than BYU right now. They dominated them the last time they played. I mean, Texas, like the Big 12 is just Texas Tech and everybody else. I mean, outside of Texas Tech, I think that conference is kind of a joke. I love Texas Tech here.
Well, okay. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like Texas Tech. They spent a lot of money on their roster. I think, yeah. So they lost. I think it would have been more interesting because they did have a backup quarterback. I mean, I guess this is for me to say this, whatever. But they had a backup quarterback when they lost to Arizona State.
Right.
I do think if Arizona State didn't lose their quarterback and their top receiver for a year, it would have been a little more interesting, the conference, because they probably would have beaten Houston. They would have been in it in the last days, but Utah wouldn't have killed them, whatever. But yeah, I mean, and that's just how football goes. But yeah, Texas Tech is really good. But you could say also Texas Tech lost with a backup quarterback to the defending conference champions, who at the time were fully healthy.
Yeah.
So that loss does not look bad, especially on the road.
No, it's kind of, and the committee takes that into account. If a quarterback gets hurt and they lose a game, it's kind of like when remember when Clemson lost to Syracuse
Last year,
8 years ago?
Yeah,
when Kelly Bryant was the quarterback, but Kelly Bryant got hurt and didn't play the whole second half. And the committee kind of took that into account. They were like, all right, their quarterback got hurt. We're not going to penalize
right,
them.
right. All right, my 3-point pick. I am taking the Virginia Cavaliers minus 3.5 against the Duke Blue Devils, as we just talked about. Everything we just talked about. Virginia's not terrific. Duke doesn't belong anywhere near the championship. They're in there because SMU completely sucks. Not only does SMU completely suck, but the fact, this is where the conference stuff gets a little ridiculous. SMU is playing for the ACC conference championship to get in, and they have to go to Cal Berkeley on the last game of the season. I mean, that's just beyond ridiculous. That's just beyond ridiculous. It's conference realignment gone insane. But I just think Virginia's going to take this one. I think Duke is an interesting story. I guess Virginia would hold their own better. I mean, and here's the other thing. We're lucky too, because last year, if you remember, I remember vividly because Arizona State got it. Conference champions got a bye. You could have been talking about Duke getting a bye.
Yeah, imagine that.
Which would just it's listen. I like the 12-team playoff, which I know you don't like it.
Well, I've actually changed my mind a little bit about the whole playoff expansion thing, because I think that at the time I was a little more used to like the old ways of college football where there's no way there would have been 12 teams that you can
Right.
argue would be a playoff team. Whereas now it's like I look at the 12 teams and I'm like, yeah, I think I can argue for all of them being playoff
Right.
teams. Like I just
Right.
think this era is a little different with
Right.
NIL.
Well, but the point is, there's still so much stuff that they need to work on with it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I just like Virginia a lot in this matchup.
Yeah, no, I like that. Look, I think Duke has gotten a lot worse. I think their quarterback's production has gone. Darian Mensah, he hasn't looked as good,
Mhm.
and the team just recently, like within the past month or so, hasn't looked good. I mean, they lost to UConn.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like they're so
yeah.
unbelievably bad. Like one
UConn,
of the
it's
worst. One of like they've got to be one of the worst um, conference finalists we've ever seen.
yeah, yeah, big time.
Um,
UConn just lost their coach to Colorado State, and
yeah.
that team beat Duke.
All right, so my 3-unit
More.
pick, I actually flipped this because the line changed from 3.5 to 2.5. So I'm taking Ohio State first half minus 2.5. I think they're going to be ahead by like I really see them being ahead by like 3 at the end of the first half. Look, I think Ohio State's the best team in the country. Indiana, I think, is going to give them a game. Of if there's any team in the country that can give Ohio State a game, it's Indiana. But overall, I think Ohio State is just more talented than Indiana. I think they're right now a better team than Indiana. I like Ohio State to first half minus the 2.5.
Yep, yep. I'll get to that game in a second. Yeah, I like that. All right, my 4-unit play. Just talked about this game. North Texas laying 2.5 at Tulane. North Texas's offense is way, way better than Tulane's. Um, North Texas, I think, are just the better team overall. I would have put them in if I had to pick one group of 5 team, even though, as I said, I wouldn't put any group of 5 team in. But I just like North Texas in this matchup. I think offensively they're much better, and I think that'll make the difference. Just give me North Texas. They will then be they have 1 loss, so I think you feel more comfortable about North Texas getting in than two loss Tulane. So
Two lost to win. It sounds like a
yeah,
nickname.
uh, but yeah, I'm gonna take North Texas minus 2.5.
All right. I actually like that pick a lot. My 4-unit play, I'm taking Virginia minus 3.5 for a lot of the same reasons that I'm taking the under in that game. Is that the last time? Look, Duke has not looked good in the past month or so.
Mhm.
Also, the last time they played, Virginia totally dominated them. Duke was not able to move the ball much. They weren't able
Mhm.
to score much. And also, I looked at this. I looked at this statistically, and um, in terms of yards per game, Virginia is one of the best in the ACC. In terms of total yards per game, Virginia's the third best in the ACC
Mhm.
defensively. In terms of points per game, they're the second best defensively. They have one of the and they do have one of the best defenses in the conference, and
Mhm.
I think that they're really going to shut down Duke. Duke's defense does not compare to Virginia's defense,
No.
and Duke's offense has just gotten worse throughout the season. So I
Yep.
love Virginia here.
Yeah. Yep. I'm on that too. All right. We are at 5 units, right?
Yeah,
All right. My 5-unit play. This is. I know you just said you think Ohio State's going to be up a few points at halftime. I think Ohio State is going to absolutely destroy Indiana. I am taking Ohio State laying 4.5. Right now, I think Ohio State is going to put a beat down on Indiana. Indiana are just not in the realm of Ohio State. I'm sorry, they're not. Um, I'm not that impressed by them. They're doing a great job. Signetti's done an unbelievable job. Mendoza is terrific. They deserve to be number 2. Outside of the win against Oregon, not loving them. Their schedule. I think Ohio State's gonna kill them.
yeah. Do you think they're a little bit in the same category as Texas A&M?
Yeah,
I think they're very much. I think they're a little bit like that. Like they have a few good wins. They look like a very good team, but their schedule has really just not been great.
And should have lost to a pretty bad Penn State team.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Should have lost to Penn
that's.
State.
I can't say I disagree. Like when people say that like the Big Ten is better at the top, I think Ohio State is just better than every SEC team. But below that, it's at bet like Indiana. I think is comparable to say A and
Yeah, Oregon is up there. I think next year Oregon USC will definitely be up there too. But yeah, right now, yeah. And remember, a lot of a lot of people thought that it was going to be better. I mean, I think a lot of people thought USC was going to be better. A lot of people thought Illinois was possibly going to go to the playoff. They just didn't even get close.
Yeah.
They it was a more down year because remember, people had Penn State in that conversation, which is tough to think about now because we're so far removed from Penn State having been in it. But yeah, this year was a down year, with the exception of those two teams. And again, Indiana, I feel like you're going to see, okay, it's a little different than last year. But I do think that it's going to be similar
Right.
when they play a tough team.
Well, here's the thing with Indiana last year, though. The thing with Indiana last year is that Curtis Rourke had hand surgery, the same hand surgery that John Mateer had this year. And the quarterback was never quite the same after the hand surgery. And this year, their schedule this year was tougher than it was last year.
Yeah,
Last year, the toughest team they played in the Big Ten, other than Ohio State, who destroyed them, was Michigan. And they almost lost that game. So, like last year,
similar to how they almost lost to Penn State this year.
Yeah.
A down Michigan team versus a down Penn State team. But I do think that next, like right now it is. But if you look at next year, I mean, I think, Penn State will definitely be back. And then, Michigan will be good. USC will be good. Oregon will be good. Indiana will be good. Like that stuff, I think will match. Indiana will be good as long as Cignetti doesn't go to Penn State, which I don't think he will. But
I think Michigan's going to be a lot better next year.
I said Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. Oh, yeah, Michigan, US. I think a lot of teams are going to be a lot better next year in the Big Ten. But yeah, I know it's kind of unpredictable. I mean, by the way, I can't stand like how big these conferences are. Now we have like top teams in conferences not even playing each other. I mean, it's such
better, it's way better than agreed about that part, but it is way better than the divisions.
Yeah, because the problem with the divisions is that they were always so uneven. I mean, the Big Ten,
Big
like
Ten
the Big
West,
Ten East and Big Ten West were like, it might as well have been different conferences. They were so uneven.
Yeah.
And by the way, the SEC was like that too. The SEC West for many years. I mean, the SEC East was such a joke. Florida used to have like a one-way ticket to the SEC championship game. It was so laughable because Georgia wasn't always good.
Yeah.
But so I do kind of agree with that. But at the same time, at least with divisions, everybody was kind of playing each other on some level. But
yeah.
All right. So my 5-unit play is the Ohio State Indiana over 48 wait, let me see for a second.
40.5.
48.5. I like the over here because I just think they're both going to score a lot. They're both good offensive teams. My only worry is that if they really shut down Indiana, like you say that they will, that Indiana won't score enough. But Indiana is a really good offensive team. I think they're even though they're not as good as Ohio State, I still think they're resilient enough to make it a game. And I think Ohio State's going to score a lot because they're probably the most talented offensive team in the country.
Yeah.
So I like, I like the over here. I like Ohio State to win and the over.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's go to the league where they play for pay. Let's start with my 1-unit play. Excuse me. I am going with Packers first half -3.5 against the Chicago Bears. I have to say, by the way, I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel like you might, knowing your gambling style. I can't stand the card this week. Bad card in the NFL. I was looking at it and there was nothing that I was like, whoa, I like this.
I
Like
mean,
really nothing.
there were a few picks that I liked. I think there were a few, but yeah, I kind of agree. It's kind of tough, especially with like injuries. Like we don't really know how healthy some of these quarterbacks are.
Yeah, it's injuries and just like some of the matchups are just like yeah, like this one, like I like the Packers, like I like the Packers in Lambeau, but like I love the Eagles on Friday against the Bears. Like I just don't know, and like I just there was nothing that really, even on the totals, not even just on the just nothing that stood out. But that happens a lot. A lot of the season gambles are no, you get like 3 weeks at least out of that the season where the card is just like ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Um, so what's your 1 unit?
Packers minus
Oh,
three
that's
and
right.
a half first half.
All right. So my 1 unit play, I just want to make sure it didn't change. Yeah, I'm taking the Commanders minus 1.5 against the Vikings. The Vikings are such a disaster this year. The Commanders are sometimes okay. Like they almost beat Denver last night, which
Yeah,
they should have beat Denver last night.
yeah.
That was a crazy game. I look, the Vikings are they are such has anybody fumbled worse than the Vikings have?
Well, you have to say it feels better to be a Giants and a Jet fan because the Giants, they're two different teams that gave up on quarterbacks who are having decent years this year. The Vikings gave up on the same two quarterbacks, but as the same exact team. They
Yeah.
had Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold on the roster and went with JJ McCarthy. So JJ McCarthy, not only has he not been great this year, but the best ability is availability. And he
Yeah.
doesn't have that. He's constantly injured.
Well, even if best ability is availability, even when he is available, it's like you're playing a backup quarterback. He's been so bad. Like,
I
like
mean, they're just awful. They're terrible. And I think that you're I think he's the first ever quarterback in NFL history to be on a different team that won 14 games the year before.
yeah,
Darnold. And and
yeah.
and he's in the MVP conversation. I mean, they're really a disaster.
It's
And
yeah. Does any like franchise move on from quarterbacks more easily than the Vikings?
well, and not only that, but where do you see light here for the Vikings at the end of a tunnel? Because look at their division now.
Yeah, it's a
So,
gauntlet. Now
uh,
that the Bears have gotten better, I mean, the Packers, like now, like if this continues for the Vikings, they will permanently be at the bottom of that division if this continues.
I agree. And just 1 second, because they're playing the Commanders. Two calls last night in that Commanders game. First of all, Mariota had a run uh, where it was like 3rd and 1, and then they went back and looked and said his knee was down and made it 3rd and 24 or something. His knee was down because he was tripped
Yeah,
by the defender. So
yeah,
how can you look back and say his knee is not down, but his knee is down, but not call the penalty?
yeah.
And then the intentional grounding was
That
just
was
insane.
that was crazy. The intentional grounding call.
It was terrible, and the Commanders still had a chance to win the game. Two bad calls there, but yeah, and the Commanders, they're actually not bad, but Jaden Daniels is another guy with his ability, his availability is not terrific either. But I also wouldn't play him at all for the rest of the season if I was Washington.
Well, no, because the season's over at this point.
Right.
But like, look, with Jaden Daniels, I think they're a little bit of a different team. But you know what? Even with Jaden Daniels, they do have a little bit of a problem on their defense. Their defense is not great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the Vikings, like moving on from Sam Darnold after a 14-3 season was the stupidest decision they could have made. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
and put all their eggs in the JJ
well,
McCarthy basket. JJ McCarthy was an average quarterback in college. It's not even like he was that good.
it actually, ironically, because it has to do with Darnold, it reminds me a lot of Zach Wilson. Like, what did Zach Wilson do in college to prove that he should be picked that high? What did JJ McCarthy do in college? Okay, he won a championship, but they didn't win that championship because of him. Like,
No, no, no,
it's
no, no. I mean, by the way, a lot of quarterbacks have won national championships in college and weren't that great in the pros. I mean, Jake Coker won a national championship in college too.
Right.
Like
Right. Yeah, Darnold's
Cardale
been great.
Jones won a
And I
national
was actually
championship.
I was actually high on Darnold when he was on the Jets. But you do have to remember in the Jets defense, Zach Wilson did have that one video where he made a good throw with no defenders on the field and no offensive line and not in a real game, but the throw
Yeah.
looked pretty cool. So, all right. My 2-point play, speaking of the guys out at MetLife, Jets Dolphins over 3.5 field goals in the game. The Jets and the Dolphins are both offenses that I feel like can get down the field and have trouble finishing plays off. If there was no offense and if there was no defense and there was just kickoffs, the Jets would be the best team in the NFL. But they're there. How about Aaron Glenn played on the same team as Nick Folk at one point, and then Nick Folk just kicked the winner for Aaron Glenn. I like the the total over field goals in this game. Nick Folk was good last night. One of the emptiest buildings I've ever seen in NFL history. It was insane how empty MetLife was, which is good for Jet fans, by the way. That's instead of complaining about Woody Johnson not showing up to games is a good way to get the message across. When the building looks like that, it's a little tough.
Yeah.
But I have to say, and I'm actually going to talk about this game later, but Aaron Glenn has the boys playing well. So I have to give him a lot of credit. I think the Jets are a competitive team. I think he's done a good job actually toward the end of the season, especially since the trades. But yeah, I'm going with that over 3.5 field goals.
Well, yeah, I think the trades worked a lot, but that wasn't Aaron Glenn that made those trades.
But I'm saying that since the trades have happened, he's been good keeping the team as competitive as they've been.
That's fair. That's definitely true. So my 2-unit play, I am taking the Steelers plus 6.5. Sorry, plus now it's
Yeah, 6.5, isn't it?
6.5. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Steelers plus 6.5 against the Ravens. The Ravens are one of the worst teams against the spread. These division rivalry games always tend to be pretty close. As far as I know, Aaron Rodgers will be playing, but the Ravens, they're just so bad against the spread, especially in their own division. So I like the Steelers here to cover the 6.5.
Yeah, I was on that too. The Steelers, the Ravens, just
They don't look right.
Lamar Jackson's obviously hurt.
He's not healthy. He's not healthy. Clearly,
it's quite obvious, and they just have not. You have to remember how bad the Bengals defense is.
Yeah.
Like for something like that to happen.
I mean, the Jets put up 38 points against the Bengals defense.
All right. My 3-unit play, I am going with the Falcons plus 7.5 against the Seattle Seahawks. I did this with the Titans the other week where the Seahawks are playing a bad team, but they're going to the Eastern time zone. They're laying a lot of points, and the Seattle Seahawks are really good, but I think it's a week where a lot of people are going to be super high on the Seattle Seahawks, and it'll be an NFL makes no sense week. I think the Falcons are going to – a lot of people down on the Falcons. The Falcons look bad, but I think they can cover a spread here, especially with that 1 o'clock, 10 a.m. window. I like the Falcons here to cover a 7.5.
I actually kind of like that pick. All right, my 3-unit play, I'm taking the Bears plus 3.5 first half. I wouldn't pick the Bears for the game because the Bears have a little bit of an issue playing a full game of football.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be within 3 points. I think it's going to be like within a field goal the first half of this game. I could see there not being a lot of scoring. It's getting colder now, and it's Lambeau Field, one of the coldest places in the country. And I just don't think the Packers are going to get out ahead by a lot in the first half of this game. I think they probably win, and I would probably take them to cover the spread, but I like the Bears first half here.
Yeah, I actually, when you texted me talk about the first half spread, I thought you were going to go the other way on that. Okay. My 4-unit play, I am going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 5.5, 8.5 against the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are really terrible. The Bucks sort of kicked it into high gear. My lock of the week last week. By the way, that's why you watch this show. Get the early picks. I had the lock of the week. Buccaneers 2.5. They won by 3. Later in the week, it went to 3, 3.5, even 4.5. So you want to watch this show. You want to get those early lines in. I just think the Saints are just terrible. They're probably going to be in the market for a quarterback again. Tyler Shuck just looks pretty bad. I just don't like that. Of course, the rest of the team is just completely depleted. And the Buccaneers, listen, the Buccaneers are in a dogfight right now. So for the division, so I think they have to win games like this. They have to win them pretty convincingly. So I got the Bucks here.
Yeah, no, I think I like the Bucks a lot. I really do think they're a good team. Baker Mayfield's having a great year. Not MVP level quite, but pretty close. Like he's got to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
What do we have? 4 units. All right, my 4-unit play. I am taking Cincinnati plus 5.5. Has that changed? It's been teetering from like 5.5 to 6. Yeah,
Cincinnati. I have. Yeah, 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5. Okay. Cincinnati plus 5.5 against Buffalo. The Bengals always play the Bills kind of close. And the Bills often just have some games where they don't look great. I think the Bengals, they have their backs against the wall. I think this game will be close. The Bills probably would end up winning it outright, but I just think they're going to give the Bills a tough time in this game. Not for the reasons that say the Texans, like the Texans gave them a tough time because of their defense. The Bengals defense obviously is not going to do that, but I think they're going to score enough points to actually keep it close. I could see this game being a real shootout.
Yeah, I agree. I'll actually, it's not on one of my picks, but I actually will probably play the over at some point during the week.
At this point, I think Joe Burrow looks like he's healthier than Lamar Jackson at this point.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he also took a lot more time off, so but yeah, and the problem is the thing is Joe Flacco actually came in and did a really good job as a backup, but you don't even notice because their defense was just so horrific that they should have beaten the Jets, definitely. I mean, so yeah, Burrow looks good, and I agree with that, and I agree about it being a shootout. My 5-unit play. I am taking the Dallas Cowboys plus 3 in Detroit. The Cowboys look really good. Dak looks like an MVP candidate. The Lions just are really up and down. I mean, they lost to the Packers pretty convincingly. That game was not that close. And they should have lost to the Giants after having lost to the Eagles the week before, and we've seen how the Eagles have looked. I just think Dallas is on a path to possibly make the playoffs here. They would need a lot to happen. They have to win out. They have a semi-tough schedule, and if they lose one, they would need a lot of help. So I think it's going to be a path to win out for the Cowboys. I think they can win this game outright, but I'm going to take them at the 3 right now. I just think they're playing way better football than the Lions are right now.
Yeah, the Lions. I mean, I didn't think the Lions would lose twice to the Packers this year. The Lions right now don't look great. Earlier, I was saying the Lions look like they did last year. Now they really just don't.
No.
Dallas has gotten a lot better post-trade deadline. For sure, they've gotten a lot better. I mean, nobody would have thought that Dallas could have beaten the Chiefs. I think they're good enough from the way they're playing right now to be a playoff team, but they're just going to need so much help. I mean, they're going to need so many teams to just totally collapse. I mean, they're going to need the Bears to totally collapse and the Niners. I mean, the Seahawks or Rams, whoever is second place in that division, and also maybe the Lions or whoever is in second place in that division. So they're kind of going to have to need the line. They're going to have to need like 2 teams, I think, to totally collapse.
Yeah, the funny thing is, despite beating the Chiefs, it actually wasn't that great for them because, well, it was great that they beat the Chiefs, obviously, but all of the other results went in the opposite of their favor.
Yeah.
The Bears winning, even people forget the Panthers beat the Cowboys this year.
Yeah.
So the
There's
Panthers having the same amount of wins means they're ahead of the Cowboys.
well, unless there's a three-way tie.
Unless it's a three-way. But the point is that every result didn't go their way.
The Eagles losing that game
Was
to
bad
the
for them, yeah.
Bears was actually worse than Dallas. Was actually worse for Dallas than Dallas winning that game was
Right.
good for them against the Chiefs. In other words, they would have been better off losing to the Chiefs and the Eagles losing to the Bears in a weird way.
Right. And you look at the Eagles, they played the Commanders twice and the Raiders in their last 5 games. They would have to drop one of those and then lose the other one, the to the Chargers and another team they're playing that's pretty good. I forget who it is, but just for the Cowboys to win the division. So the Cowboys couldn't win out, and their path, they need a lot of help. But here's where it starts. But one thing is true, that if they lose a game, then they're in a really big hole.
Yeah.
So here's where it starts. The next 2 games are gigantic. They play the Lions and the Chargers, because then the schedule gets pretty easy after that. But yeah, this is it, and I think they're going to be able to cover here.
I also my hot take is that I think that Dallas might be the most entertaining team to watch in football.
I actually think that's true a lot of years.
No, but this year especially because their offense is so good, their defense is so bad. They have an MVP level quarterback, two great wide receivers. I mean, that type of team is always the most fun to watch.
Yeah. Their defense has been a lot better since Q got it in there too. But yeah.
But I mean, I just generally think that teams that are very quarterback reliant, have very good wide receivers, have defenses that are below average, that get into a lot of shootouts, tend to be the most entertaining. Like the Bills, I think, is up there too.
Over teams, yeah.
Yeah, the Ravens.
The Chiefs for the start of their dynasty. Those are sort of the Chiefs. Yeah. Anyway, your 5-unit play.
My 5-unit play is I'm taking the Lions, Cowboys over 53.5. Want to hear an interesting stat? The two wait, sorry. I got it. All right. The two what am I? All right, wait, what am I? Sorry, I'm just pulling up this. Okay. So Dallas is the number one, not surprising, over team in the league at 8-4, so 67%, and then tied for second place at 7-5 is Detroit. It's a pretty long tie. So these are two over teams that you can count on going. These are 2 teams that you can definitely count on going
this
over.
will be exciting.
Am I breaking up at all? Okay, I'm good.
A little bit.
Okay, I thought I was breaking up a little, but yes, I love the over 53.5.
All right, so this is your breakup. Let's move along. Let's go to the money line plays of the week. I am going to pick a game. I feel like you might be on this same track, but I'm not sure. My pick is let me just get the right odds here. Yeah, okay. My pick is the Alabama Crimson Tide plus 113 to win the SEC championship over Georgia. Frankly, they beat them this year already, but I just frankly think that Alabama has been a better team than Georgia this year. This has been a really good Georgia team, but not a Georgia team that we're accustomed to. And I just think Alabama's been a better team this year. They've had a little bit of a harder schedule. And Georgia Tech hung around for a while with Georgia on Sunday. I just like the Tide here.
Interesting, because we were because you had the opposite opinion when they played earlier this year, and you told me I was crazy for taking Alabama.
I don't know if I told you were crazy, but okay.
Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe I'm exaggerating.
Hold on, because you told me I was crazy on 6 days ago for taking Texas. So
but yeah, by the way, crazy doesn't mean wrong.
Right.
You can be crazy and be correct. So,
right. That's a good point. But but also you would agree that it's a different world in college football than it was when Alabama first played Georgia.
Yeah, I do. I
mean,
think
they just
everything.
lost to Florida State like a few weeks earlier. And remember, at the start, Alabama has a good chance to win the national championship. Not, they have a chance to win the national championship. Remember, at the start of the year, there was a woman who said that if she won the lottery, she would use the money to buy out Kalen DeBoer. So that's where Alabama were at that time. But
I love how, by the way, like, I think that, like, if somebody actually, the funny thing about that answer is that it's a very good indication for why she's playing the lottery. She must not be very good with money if the first thing she thinks is, I'm going to buy up Kalen DeBoer's contract if I win
but
the
that's
lottery.
also adds to our point at the start of the show. The SEC is just better. But
Yeah, no, it just means more.
Yeah.
And also it's like, you ever notice that, like, people always say like bullshit, like, and you agree with me on this, that like the committee is so biased in favor of the SEC and all of that, and I really mostly think that's very exaggerated. It's a little bit like the college football version of Joe Buck hates my team. Like the people who claim the committee is so biased in favor of the SEC, they're the ones that are just biased against the SEC. It's like when Yankee fans say Joe Buck hates the Yankees, and it's like, no, you're just a Yankee fan who doesn't like the unbiased broadcaster. You're used to Michael Kay. Like,
same thing where it's like, oh, Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo, all they do is glaze Mahomes. Well, yeah, because he's the best player in the NFL. Like,
yeah, like he's just that good.
It's a similar that. But I think it, like with the Joe Buck thing, I think it shows you how good of an announcer he is. Like, if multiple fan bases during the game, both fan bases think you hate their team, you're doing a great job.
No, that's absolutely true. And it's like,
but
it's also just like, he can't hate everybody's team.
Right. Yeah. Well, just like, but yeah, I agree about the SEC again, because it is the best conference. And that's the thing. Like, and same thing, like, oh, well, why do all these guys go to, the SEC, or why do all these guys go to Penn State even? Well, because who's producing NFL talent? Like, that's the difference. But yeah, I agree with you.
Not only are they the best conference, but they're also just they're also a conference that just has a lot of quality teams. And the notion that the committee is just so biased in favor of the SEC, and it's like, there have been many times where they have left out SEC teams where that SEC fan base may have had a legitimate argument to be in the playoffs, namely Alabama some years. I mean, remember when TCU made the playoffs? And I'm not saying they made the wrong decision. They made the right decision putting TCU in.
Yeah,
but Alabama fans really had an argument.
And you could have said it last year too. But we'll see what happens. What happens if Alabama loses this game?
They're still in, because the committee is not going to punish them for losing
I agree.
the conference.
Because,
by the way, it was SMU. SMU's resume was not even good, and then they lost the conference championship game, and they still got in instead of Alabama. And I think they should have too, because I didn't think Alabama should have gotten in last year. Their resume was not good enough.
I agree. Anyway, your money
line.
My
money line unit. I'm actually kind of surprised you didn't pick this. Jets plus 130. I am taking the Jets to beat the Dolphins. The Jets have looked so much better post trade deadline. Also, what are the Dolphins notorious for? Oh, they can't play in the cold. This game is at MetLife. I think the Dolphins are going to malfunction a little bit in this game. I think I really like the Jets here. I think the Jets win this game outright, and they're going to screw up their draft stock. It would be the most Jets thing.
Yeah, but what do they do with the draft stock anyway?
I know. I'm just saying.
But
not that I care that much, because they're not good drafters, but I think that's just what's going to happen, because they do that.
All right, let's go to the locks of the week. Let's start in college. My lock of the week is the Boise State Broncos minus 3.5 against UNLV. I've actually been hot on UNLV all year, but now you go into a conference championship game. By the way, I hate this. Most Fagase thing that happens with conference championship games when they're played at a campus site. Can't stand that. It's at Boise State in the cold, in Boise, Idaho. Big difference between maybe one of the biggest differences in two cities ever, Boise, Idaho, and Las Vegas, Nevada. And entertainment-wise anyway, no offense to Boise, but cold weather, Boise State still a decent team. I like Boise State here to cover. I think they're going to beat UNLV pretty good. I think the weather. I think that the other factors bode well for them. It's going to rain on Friday night in Boise, so give me the Broncos laying 3.5.
Yeah. I like that pick a lot, actually. I was looking at it, but it's hard for me to like pick these games because I don't really watch any of them throughout the season. I mean, it's hard enough to be able to watch the Power Four teams, let alone like these Group of Five teams.
Yeah.
By the way, question: when you think of Boise State, who's the first player you think of?
Oh yeah, Ashton Genty now.
Really? I
You think
still
it was
think Jay
Kellen
Ajayi.
Moore? Oh, Jay Ajayi.
Jay
Yeah,
Ajayi
no.
is still the first player I think of. I guess my
No.
mind.
I mean, I think I'll always not a player, but I'll always think of the Fiesta Bowl when I think of Boise State.
Yeah, but yeah, when it comes to players,
Yeah, but I still Genty now probably.
yeah, when I think UNLV, do I know who
I
played
think
at
more
UNLV?
basketball.
I think basketball. I think when I think of UNLV, I think Greg Anthony.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Um, all right, my lock of the week in college. I think this is predictable. I'm going Georgia -2.5. I love Georgia here. I think Georgia has gotten substantially better throughout the season since they last played Alabama. I think they're the best team in the SEC. Similar to what you said not long ago, we're so accustomed to Georgia being so good that our expectations are so high that we think they're having a worse year than they're really having. Um, the thing with Alabama is that I think they have a lot more weaknesses than Georgia does.
Mhm.
If Alabama's passing game is not on point, they're in a lot of trouble. And Georgia's defense has improved, I think, improved tremendously. And I think they're going to give Alabama some trouble. I
Okay.
think I like Georgia to cover the number.
Well, but we're talking about the pass game, but Ty Simpson's way better than Gunnar Stockton. But okay.
Oh, without question. But I think the quarterback battle matters less in college than in the pros. Like,
Right, but if you're to trust one, I would trust Ty Simpson over.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Ty Simpson might be the best quarterback in the country, but overall, I think Georgia's just a better team. I think they have fewer flaws, and also it's tough to beat the same team twice in the same year. Like I think Georgia's going to want to.
I think it's tough to be the same team 3 times in a year. I think twice you could do.
Well,
But
Georgia
yeah,
did it to Texas last year, but a team like Georgia is
correct.
tough.
Well, Georgia did it. Yeah, exactly. That's correct. Yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point. But it just feels like they've played this like over and over and over and over again. I completely forgot Georgia played Texas in
But
the SEC
I
championship.
will throw you a bone. A crazy stat is that Kirby Smart has more national championships than wins against Alabama. That's an
Yeah,
insane
I do know
stat.
that. He only has 1 win against Alabama. He has an Alabama problem. But yes, I
In
completely
fairness, everybody has a little bit of an Alabama problem. They're not an
right.
easy team to
It's like
beat.
saying that it's like saying that the Bills have a Chiefs problem.
Right, exactly.
But
Like,
yes. Yes, I forgot about that. I forgot about that because Arizona State won the Big 12 on the same day, and I was so drunk that I completely blocked the Big 10 and SEC championships out of my mind. But yes, that was a great day of championship football too. All right, let's go to the NFL locks of the week. My lock of the week. Who want to fly with them fucking Jets? Jets,
wow.
Jets. You said you were surprised. Be surprised no more. Jets plus 2.5 in the cold weather. Listen, in the cold weather, like you said, and Miami normally, besides that Black Friday game, normally the Jets beat Miami in New Jersey, and the Dolphins beat the Jets in Miami. That's just normally how it goes. Jets are just the Jets. They're not that bad a team, and also like here's my thing. Okay, that the pick matters, but first of all, remember that they haven't done great making picks, and also what else matters is learning how to win close games.
Yep.
So it's part of the rebuilding process. And the Jets had lost close games this year. Pittsburgh, Tampa come to mind. You have to be able to do it at some point, like they did against Cincinnati, like they did on Sunday. So it's escaping me who they beat the other team they beat. But
The Jets,
yeah.
the Bengals,
Yeah, who else did they beat?
they beat the Bengals, they beat the
Falcons?
the Falcons, the who am I forgetting?
Yeah, who did they beat?
Wait. How am I forgetting this? They beat the well, obviously just the Bengals, the Falcons, and the Browns. That's right.
Yes, they did beat the Browns. That was kind of a forgettable game. But yes, so I think they're good, and also the Dolphins suck. Like, let's not forget that.
They're
So
horrible.
they're horrible.
Mike McDaniels is done.
And they should have lost to the Saints, who are terrible. And they kept the Saints around in that game for a long time. I like the Jets. I've done a 180. I like Aaron Glenn. I think he's doing a good job there. I think he's got the locker room playing well. I think they're going to have to make a decision next year, unfortunately, on quarterback. Although, if I was them, I would probably just sign Kirk Cousins and then take a quarterback next year. But it's going to be interesting. And I like the Jets here. The Jets, by the way, you look at their schedule. They got this game. They have the Saints coming up too. They could win some games here.
How about Kyler Murray?
Yeah,
I'd rather have Kyler Murray than Cousins. At least he's a little younger.
But I only want that quarterback for 1 year, though. But yeah,
no, I get that. But I mean, Kirk Cousins is so bad now. Yeah. Like, I mean, he might. I mean, I could see there being another Aaron Rodgers situation. Like, Kirk Cousins is so bad now. People are going to forget that he ever played on the Falcons.
Yeah.
It's going to be more forgettable than Brett Favre playing on the Falcons. Like,
yeah.
All right. So my lock of the week. I'm surprised you didn't pick this game. Or am I forgetting? I like the Chiefs minus 3.5 against Houston. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Houston. I think the Chiefs' backs are against the wall. Overall, I think they're just a better team than Houston. Houston's offense has not looked great. I love the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't take it on the show, but I'm with you. I had bet them on Sunday, the Texans, and they did end up winning and covering, but like it was like pulling teeth watching that game. I mean, Stroud was so bad. But yeah, I agree. And listen, I've been saying it on the show and I've been wrong a lot. I still don't think it's out of the realm for the Chiefs to make a run. So, especially schedule wise. And this is a big game, but yeah. And the AFC South is going to get real good too. I think the Jaguars are in the lead now.
Imagine if the Colts end up missing the playoffs. Like that could happen.
Which is possible. They play the Jaguars this week. I think they play them again. And they play the Texans. They play the 49ers on the road. It's possible.
I don't even know how to feel about the Jaguars. They have their ups and their downs, but they're looking good. Recently, they
really are. And the Texans could make it interesting too, but I agree with you on the Chiefs. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode. Enjoy championship weekend. Enjoy the NFL, and we will see you next Monday.
See you then.